Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. A storm is quietly gathering over Genoa city, and this time it carries a name the past refuses to forget. Matt Clark is back, and his return doesn't come with hesitation. It arrives like a match struck in a room filled with gasoline. As Thursday, April 2nd dawns, the air feels heavier, charged with the promise of reckoning and the unmistakable sense that something irreversible has been set into motion. Matt isn't just returning for closure or confrontation. He's coming for destruction, armed with a carefully crafted plan to dismantle the lives of those he despises most. Every step he takes is deliberate, every move calculated, and every grudge he carries has been sharpened into something far more dangerous than anger. It's become obsession. And as his shadow stretches across the city, one haunting question lingers in the minds of everyone caught in his orbit. When the dust finally settles, who will still be standing? Far from Genoa city, beneath the neon haze of Las Vegas, the hunt is already underway. Adam and Nick Newman move through the chaos of the city, chasing whispers and fragments of Matt's presence, knowing full well that they're stepping directly into his territory. Adam's entanglement with Riza, a woman suspected of running Matt's fentanyl empire back home, adds another layer of danger, blurring the lines between ally and enemy. Meanwhile, back in Genoa city, Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall find themselves trapped in a different kind of nightmare, one that arrives through cold, relentless text messages that carry Matt's voice without ever hearing it. The tension builds with every unanswered call, every cryptic threat, and every moment of silence that follows. It's not just fear that's growing, it's anticipation, because Matt is clearly preparing something far worse than anyone can imagine. And the terrifying truth is, no one knows where he'll strike first. Nick Newman, however, is already feeling the devastating effects of Matt's reach, long before the true plan even begins. What started as a single, reckless moment in Los Angeles, accepting that small bag of fentanyl, has spiraled into something far more destructive. There was a time when he could have thrown it away, walked away, and never looked back. But that moment passed, and now the consequences are catching up with brutal force. As his prescription pills ran out, desperation crept in, and with it came the temptation he could no longer resist. Now, in the very city where Matt controls the drug trade, Nick finds himself buying again, chasing relief that only pulls him deeper into darkness. Each pill tightens the grip. Each decision pushes him closer to the edge, and when a dealer hands him an extra baggie this week, it feels less like luck and more like a death sentence. Because this isn't generosity, it's orchestration, and Matt is pulling the strings. There's something far more sinister hidden in that bonus, something designed not just to addict, but to destroy. Whether it's heroin or a deadlier mix laced into the fentanyl, the intent is painfully clear. Matt doesn't just want Nick to suffer, he wants to watch him collapse completely. He wants to drag him to the lowest possible point, strip away everything he is, and leave him broken before delivering the final blow. It's easy to imagine Matt pushing him even further, forcing him to witness the suffering of Sharon and Noah, twisting emotional pain into something unbearable, something that could tip Nick over the edge entirely. And while death may hover dangerously close, it feels more like Matt wants him to survive just long enough to truly understand the ruin. A near-fatal overdose seems inevitable, a moment where everything hangs by a thread, forcing Nick to confront just how far he's fallen. And if he makes it through, battered but alive, there may still be hope. Hope that leads him toward recovery, toward redemption, and toward finally breaking free from the grip that nearly killed him. But if Nick's suffering is slow and calculated, Sienna's fate feels far more immediate, far more volatile, and infinitely more terrifying. Betrayal has sealed her place in Matt's crosshairs, and the affair with Noah has turned her into a symbol of everything he wants to punish. What makes it worse is the way Matt could intertwine their fates, using one to torment the other in a cruel psychological game that leaves no room for escape. It's easy to imagine a scenario where both Sienna and Noah are captured, forced to watch each other suffer through screens, their fear feeding Matt's twisted sense of control. The possibilities are horrifying. Violence, humiliation, even unspeakable acts meant to break them completely. And knowing Matt's history, there's no line he wouldn't cross, no boundary he wouldn't shatter to achieve his goal. Yet, sometimes the most terrifying outcomes are the simplest ones. A sudden act of violence, a moment of rage, and Sienna's life could be extinguished in an instant, her body left somewhere deeply personal like the Newman Ranch as a message carved in tragedy. The emotional fallout would be catastrophic, especially for Noah, who would carry the weight of guilt like a permanent scar. Every memory, every moment they shared would become a source of torment, a reminder of how everything went wrong. And in the larger picture, it feels almost inevitable that if someone doesn't survive Matt's rampage, Sienna may be the one who pays the ultimate price. The story itself seems to be shifting, quietly guiding Noah back toward another path, leaving Sienna's fate hanging in a way that feels ominous and unavoidable. For Noah, the nightmare doesn't end with Sienna. It may only just be beginning. Matt's hatred toward him runs deeper than betrayal. It's personal, rooted in trust that was shattered in the worst possible way. The bond they once shared has twisted into something dark and unforgiving, and now Matt may be determined to make Noah feel every ounce of that pain. Whether it's a brutal physical assault, a calculated psychological trap, or something even more sinister, the possibilities are chilling. Being locked in a room with deadly pills, forced into an impossible choice, or even buried alive with nothing but time slipping away. Each scenario feels like something Matt would not only consider but relish. Because for him, this isn't just revenge, it's punishment, crafted to leave lasting scars that go far beyond the physical. And then there's Sharon, a name that echoes through Matt's past like an unfinished story he refuses to let go. His fixation on her has never truly faded, and now it threatens to resurface in the most dangerous way imaginable. By targeting Noah, he could draw Sharon in, forcing her into a desperate choice no mother should ever have to make. The moment she offers herself in exchange for her son's safety feels almost inevitable, a heartbreaking sacrifice born from love and fear. And once she is in his grasp, the past threatens to repeat itself in ways that are both haunting and unbearable. Matt doesn't just want to hurt her, he wants to possess her, to control her, to keep her as part of whatever twisted future he's planning. It's a chilling reminder that for some obsessions, time doesn't heal, it only deepens the damage. But looming above all of this chaos is the man who started it all in Matt's eyes, Victor Newman. The architect of Matt's downfall, the one who stripped him of power, wealth, and identity, leaving him with nothing but rage. This is where the revenge becomes truly mashtabni, expanding beyond individuals and into something far more devastating. By targeting Victor's children, Adam, Nick, and Victoria, Matt could dismantle the very foundation of his world. The threat is clear and merciless. Surrender everything or watch it all burn. The ranch, the fortune, the legacy. Every piece of Victor's empire could be torn away, mirroring the destruction Matt once endured. And if that isn't enough, even Nikki could be pulled into the storm, despite the fractures in their relationship, because love, no matter how strained, can still be used as a weapon. As all these threads tighten, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't going to end cleanly. Matt Clark isn't just seeking revenge, he's orchestrating devastation on a scale that will leave permanent scars across Genoa City. Every move he makes pushes someone closer to the edge. Every plan he sets in motion carries the weight of irreversible consequences. And as the tension reaches its breaking point, it becomes clear that not everyone will walk away from this. Somewhere within this storm of betrayal, addiction, obsession, and vengeance, a life will be lost. The only question left is, whose story will come to a tragic end when Matt's revenge finally reaches its climax? The tension doesn't break, it deepens, stretching tighter with every passing moment, as if the entire city is holding its breath, waiting for something catastrophic to snap. Matt Clark isn't rushing, and that's what makes it all the more terrifying. Every move he makes feels intentional, almost patient, like a predator savoring the hunt rather than racing towards the kill. In the shadows, his plan continues to unfold piece by piece, weaving together fear, pain, and control into something that feels inescapable for everyone caught inside it. The deeper he pulls his victims into his web, the more isolated they become, cut off from safety, from reason, and from any sense that this nightmare will simply pass. What once seemed like scattered threads now begins to reveal itself as a single, horrifying design, one that connects every target in ways they can't yet fully see. And as the pieces start locking into place, the realization dawns that Matt isn't just attacking individuals, he's dismantling entire lives, one emotional fracture at a time. There is no randomness here, no chaos without purpose. This is revenge crafted with chilling precision. In Las Vegas, the glittering lights begin to feel like a cruel illusion, masking the danger closing in around Adam and Nick Newman. Every step they take brings them closer to Matt, but also deeper into his trap, where nothing is as it seems, and every ally could just as easily be an enemy. Adam's connection to Riza grows more complicated by the second, her presence lingering with an unsettling ambiguity that raises more questions than answers. There's a sense that she knows more than she's saying, that her role in Matt's operation isn't just peripheral, but central to the storm that's about to break. Meanwhile, Nick's condition continues to deteriorate, his desperation clouding his judgment as the drugs take stronger hold of his mind and body. The line between pursuit and self-destruction blurs until it's nearly impossible to tell whether he's hunting Matt or being led exactly where Matt wants him. And somewhere in the chaos of neon lights and shadowy deals, the trap begins to tighten. Back in Genoa City, the psychological torment intensifies, especially for Noah and Sienna, whose every waking moment is now overshadowed by fear. The messages don't stop. They evolve, becoming more specific, more personal, cutting deeper with each word as if Matt is watching them in real time. Sleep becomes impossible, trust begins to erode, and even the safest spaces start to feel compromised, as though Matt's presence has seeped into every corner of their lives. There's a growing sense that they're not just being threatened, they're being prepared, conditioned for something far worse that's looming just ahead. Every vibration of a phone, every unexpected noise sends a surge of panic through them, tightening the grip of dread that refuses to loosen. And in that fragile, fear-soaked state, they become exactly what Matt wants them to be: vulnerable, reactive, and utterly at his mercy. Then comes the moment when the threats stop being distant and become real. It happens fast, almost too fast to process, like a nightmare bleeding into reality without warning. 1 second, there's tension, anticipation, the unbearable waiting, and the next, someone is gone. Whether it's Noah taken in the dead of night or Sienna disappearing without a trace, the shift is immediate and devastating, confirming every fear they tried to ignore. Panic spreads like wildfire, pulling others into the chaos as the realization hits that Matt has officially begun the most dangerous phase of his plan. And from that moment on, nothing is theoretical anymore. Everything is happening, and it's happening now. For Noah, if he's the one taken, the experience becomes something beyond terror. It becomes a descent into pure helplessness. Trapped, disoriented, and completely cut off, he's forced into a situation where survival itself feels uncertain, where every second stretches into something unbearable. Matt doesn't just want to hurt him, he wants to break him, to strip away his strength, his hope, and leave him hollow. Whether it's physical violence or psychological torture, the intent is the same: to make Noah feel exactly what betrayal has cost. And somewhere in the darkness, as time slips away and the walls close in, Noah is forced to confront a terrifying possibility that he may not make it out of this alive. If it's Sienna instead, the horror takes on a different but equally devastating form. Her disappearance sends shockwaves through everyone who knows her, especially Noah, whose guilt begins to consume him almost immediately. Every decision, every secret moment they shared becomes a weight he can't escape, dragging him deeper into emotional collapse. And wherever Sienna is, the danger feels immediate, suffocating, as though her fate is hanging by the thinnest possible thread. Matt's anger toward her burns with a volatile intensity, one that doesn't promise prolonged suffering. It threatens something swift, something final. And in the silence that follows her disappearance, the unspoken fear grows louder that they may already be too late. Sharon, caught in the crossfire of it all, becomes the emotional center of a nightmare she thought she had long escaped. When the message finally reaches her, when she sees undeniable proof of what Matt is doing to her son, the world seems to stop, collapsing into a single desperate choice. The past crashes back into the present with brutal force, reopening wounds that never truly healed, forcing her to face the same darkness she once survived. And in that moment, instinct overrides everything else, pushing her toward a decision that only a mother could make. She offers herself, willingly stepping into Matt's grasp, hoping that her sacrifice will be enough to save Noah from whatever horrors await him. It's an act of love, of courage, but also one of unimaginable risk. And while these personal tragedies unfold, the larger war against Victor Newman begins to take shape, looming like an unstoppable force on the horizon. Matt's plan to dismantle Victor's empire doesn't rely on subtlety. It thrives on devastation, on stripping away everything piece by piece until nothing remains. The threat against Adam, Victoria, and Nick becomes more than just leverage. It becomes a countdown, a ticking clock that forces Victor into an impossible position. Surrender everything he's built, everything he is, or risk losing the people he loves most. It's the ultimate reversal of power, a moment where the man who once controlled everything is suddenly at the mercy of someone who has nothing left to lose. And as all these stories collide, intertwine, and spiral toward their breaking point, the truth becomes impossible to deny. This isn't just revenge anymore, it's annihilation. Matt Clark has set something in motion that cannot be undone, something that will leave scars long after he's gone, if anyone manages to stop him at all. The emotional weight, the physical danger, the psychological torment, it all builds toward a single devastating climax that feels closer with every passing second. And somewhere in the darkness of that approaching end, one life hangs in the balance, teetering on the edge of survival and tragedy. Because when the final moment arrives, when the last move is made and the dust begins to settle, someone will not make it out. And the silence that follows will be heavier than anything generosity has ever known. As the final act begins to take shape, the air in Genoa City feels suffocating, thick with the weight of everything that's about to unfold. Every storyline, every fractured relationship, every hidden fear begins to converge into a single, unstoppable collision course. And at the center of it all stands Matt Clark, calm, focused, and more dangerous than ever. There's no more build up now, no more distant threats or shadowy warnings. This is the moment where everything he's planned begins to detonate all at once. The city that once felt familiar and safe now feels like a battlefield, where every corner hides uncertainty and every second carries the risk of irreversible loss. And as the clock ticks down, there's a haunting inevitability to it all, as though the ending has already been written, and no one knows how to stop it. The question is no longer whether Matt will strike, it's how far he's willing to go before he's finished. In the darkness of Matt's carefully chosen hideout, the full extent of his cruelty finally reveals itself in ways that are almost too painful to comprehend. Whether it's Noah or Sienna, bound and helpless, the scene is one of pure psychological devastation, where fear becomes a weapon as sharp as any blade. If Noah is the one trapped, every passing moment chips away at his strength, forcing him to endure not just physical pain, but the crushing guilt of knowing his choices led him here. Matt doesn't need to rush. He lets the silence stretch, lets the tension suffocate, until every breath feels like it could be the last. If Sienna is the one captured, the danger feels even more immediate, more volatile, as though her fate hangs by the thinnest possible thread. And in either case, Matt ensures that the other is watching, whether through a screen or through his twisted narration, forcing them to experience the horror together, amplifying every ounce of fear and helplessness. Sharon's arrival shifts the emotional gravity of the situation in an instant, her presence cutting through the darkness like a fragile but determined light. She walks into the nightmare willingly, driven by a love so fierce it leaves no room for hesitation, no space for doubt. The moment she steps into Matt's world again, the past and present collide with devastating force, pulling her back into a history she fought so hard to escape. Matt's fixation on her is undeniable, lingering in the way he watches her, in the control he tries to exert, in the unsettling calm that masks his deeper intentions. For him, this isn't just revenge, it's something more personal, more twisted, as though he's trying to reclaim a piece of his past through her. And yet, even in the face of that danger, Sharon refuses to break, holding on to the one thing Matt can't control, her determination to protect her son at any cost. At the same time, the storm surrounding Victor Newman reaches its breaking point as the threats against his children begin to close in from all sides. Adam's situation in Las Vegas rose increasingly unstable, with Riza's true allegiance becoming harder to ignore, her every move laced with ambiguity that keeps everyone on edge. Victoria, closer to home, becomes another potential target, her safety no longer guaranteed as Matt's reach extends further than anyone anticipated. And Nick, already teetering on the edge, finds himself spiraling faster, the drugs pulling him deeper into a place where clarity and control slip further away with every passing hour. For Victor, this is more than a test of power, it's a reckoning, forcing him to confront a reality where his influence might not be enough to protect the people he loves. The empire he built, the control he's always relied on, suddenly feels fragile in the face of a man who has nothing left to lose. And then, in a moment that feels both sudden and inevitable, everything collapses into chaos. The confrontation comes not as a single explosion, but as a series of devastating blows, each one hitting harder than the last. Struggles break out, desperate attempts to fight back against a plan that was designed to leave no room for escape. Emotions boil over: fear, anger, desperation, all colliding in a storm of raw human instinct. And in the middle of it all, a single irreversible act changes everything. It's quick, almost too quick to process, but its impact is immediate and devastating, sending shock waves through everyone involved. Someone doesn't make it out. The silence that follows is deafening, heavier than any scream, more powerful than any chaos that came before it. Time seems to stop as the reality settles in, as the weight of what's been lost begins to sink deep into the hearts of those left behind. Whether it's Sienna, whose tragic end feels like the culmination of Matt's rage, or another unexpected victim caught in the crossfire, the loss leaves a wound that won't easily heal. For Noah, it's a breaking point, a moment that will define him moving forward, shaping every choice he makes from here on out. For Sharon, it's a bittersweet mixture of relief and grief, knowing she may have saved her son, but at a cost that feels almost unbearable. And for the Newman family, it's a harsh reminder that even their power has limits, that some battles leave scars no amount of influence can erase. As for Matt Clark, his end, whatever form it takes, feels less like a victory and more like the final note in a tragedy that was always destined to collapse under its own weight. Whether he's captured, destroyed, or simply disappears into the shadows once more, the damage he's caused lingers, woven into the lives of everyone he touched. His revenge may have reached its conclusion, but the consequences ripple outward, changing Genoa City in ways that can't be undone. And in the quiet aftermath, as the city begins to pick up the pieces, there's a lingering sense that something fundamental has shifted, that the line between safety and danger has been permanently blurred. Because in the end, revenge doesn't just destroy its target, it destroys everything around it. And for those who survive, the real story begins not in the chaos of what happened, but in the long, painful journey of learning how to live with it.